All right, let's say you are trying to use multiple triggers, either webhook triggers or whatever you may use in a single n8n workflow. I thought that the merge node would be the thing to use, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for. So let me explain what I'm trying to do. So as you can see here, I have 3 triggers. 2 of them are webhooks. The other one is a sub-scenario call. So I have another scenario or workflow that's going to call the other workflow, right? Either way, there are 3 triggers. Now, the workflow itself that I'm working off is all based off a single Airtable record ID. So that's what I need here, right? So if I were to run with any of these 3 triggers, I need to input a Airtable record ID, which will then subsequently provide all the other information that is needed for the rest of the workflow. All right. So I have 3 triggers and each of them will give me a Airtable record ID. But granted, there's 3 of them, right? So you can't just map, I can't just map this node to, let's say, the first one or the third one, because then if, for example, the second one triggered, it would not know what to do. And if I was mapping into the first, if the third triggered, it wouldn't know what to do either. So in order to do this, it is not actually with the merge node. If somebody knows how to do it with the merge node, I'm all ears, but I could not figure out how to do it. I watched a lot of tutorials, asked ChatGPT, and it did not quite make sense to what I was trying to do. So the workaround is as follows. What you want to do is you want to use a couple of some creative set variable nodes. So after each trigger, you want to have a dedicated set node. And what you're going to do is you're going to create a consistent name for the value or the object that you're going to want to use as an input later on. So, for example, like I said, I'm trying to get the Airtable record ID from either of these, from all of these triggers. Granted, when the scenario runs, only one of them is going to be triggered, but I want the same information from each of them, which is an Airtable record ID. But each webhook is going to give that to me in a little bit of a different way, but the value is the same. What differs is the key. So, for example, for the Docs Hub app trigger, when I have a set variable node to it, I want to call it ID. String is by default. And I'm going to map it to the actual, what I'm looking for, the ID. And I'll take that from the payload. I don't have an example to show you guys right now, but when you just run your test, pin the data and use that, right? You're going to map the output, which is what you want. Same thing for each of them. So here you have some data to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this just for reference. So as you can see here, I've been saying Airtable record ID this whole time. It's actually monday.com record item ID. Anyways, same concept, whatever you're using as your input, that's all that matters. So again, here's another edit fields. I have it set name to ID. This is very important. You need to have this name the same for each, because in this set node, we're going to be referring to the key called ID. And now each of these we're going to call ID. And I'll show you in a second more so what I mean. So again, I have ID string and I've mapped it to what I'm looking for, right? From that specific trigger. Same thing with this. It'd be the exact same concept, but look, the value is very different. It's body.event.pulse ID, because that's how it looks like with that payload. So that's how you do that. Now you're going to combine all of these into a single set node. And in this set, what you're going to do is now you're going to name it whatever you want. Doesn't matter. But what's really important is the actual expression. So you're going to use this exact expression. Granted, ID will be different for you. Whatever you have set as the name of the previous nodes. So right here, whatever you named this, that's what you're going to put here after $JSON dot. So what this means, this $, what that means is that essentially is going to look for the previous node run. So whatever the output is from the previous node, that's what you're going to be looking for in that payload, or excuse me, in that output. So for example, in my case, I'm looking for the ID. Oh, let me open this up again. JSON.ID, that's just n8n speak. So $JSON, that means I'm looking for data from the previous node, and then ID is the key. It's exactly what I want to extract. And as you can imagine, from all these 3, what we're going to output is an ID. So if I look here, output is literally ID, right? So that's exactly what I want to pull. And so what this is going to do is, granted, only one of these will trigger with each execution. So this expression will allow the automation to always pull the ID that is actually generated through that execution. Because if at one execution, the first trigger runs, or another execution, the second one runs, and another, the third may run. Either way, this intermediary set node will essentially process that data into a way that I can then identify later on in this node. So it will always get the the value that I need, call it. Now, instead of it being whatever it's called by the payload, it's going to be called ID in all of these. And then here, whichever one is run, it's going to get the ID. That's what this expression does. And therefore, the item ID, which is what I've called this new one, will be the output of whatever has been triggered in this execution. Yes. And then so on and so forth. You can now use that in the rest of your workflow. So I've mapped it here, for example. This is where now I'm going to actually start my workflow basically, and I've mapped it to the output of the second set node, which is the one that's going to output exactly what I want. So that's how you work with multiple triggers. This is probably just one of the ways that you can do it. It's the best way that I've come up with this specific parallel logic. But if you guys have any questions or concerns, let me know down in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them. God bless you guys. Thanks for watching.